Hello interioristas, welcome back to An African Eye. I'm Ash Appleton. We've got a really fun episode coming up all about styling coffee tables, the do's and the don'ts, and how to inject more personality into your space with your coffee table. So keep watching. Okay, the first thing to remember is a coffee table is not just a place to put stuff, remote controls and books and magazines and things. It's also a really great way of creating a focal point. So you're actually getting people to look at what's on the coffee table. That's really important. And coffee tables are also great for zoning spaces. Because obviously when you see a coffee table, you know immediately that's the living area of the room, which is great, especially if you live in an open plan area. And we talked about this in another episode, the importance of zoning areas. So coffee tables do that really, really well. Which brings me to the next point, size. You have to get the right size for the living area you have. Obviously you don't want it too big, because if it's too big, you're going to be struggling to sort of maneuver around it comfortably. And then if it's too small, it doesn't really serve a purpose. You can't put drinks on it, you can't put stuff you want on it. So size is really important. And then look at the kind of coffee table you have. I mean, I've got a glass coffee table here and it works really well because actually my living area is quite small. So I didn't want a huge, big, clunky table because that's all you'd see. So the glass one is almost invisible, right? And your eye is drawn to what's on the coffee table and not the coffee table itself. So glass works really well in small spaces. If you've got a bigger space, then you've got more sort of leeway to play with. So that's size. And then there's placement. You kind of want the coffee table sort of in front of the sofa or the couch that you use most frequently, so that it's accessible. You can put drinks on it and you can get stuff on it, stuff like that. So so placement is quite important in terms of where you're going to put your coffee table. Now, this is the fun part, the bit I really like. Coffee tables are a great way to express your personality. I mean, you can say so much about who you are by the stuff that you have on your table. So it's about choosing stuff that just, gives little hints about your, who you really are as a person. It's more than just, it's not about telling people. It's always about showing. That's the thing about interiors. It's always about showing and not telling. And coffee tables do this really well. Now I'm going to show how I style my coffee table. Everyone's different, but this is how I do it. The most important thing to remember is contrast. You want a variety in terms of look and feel. I mean, for example, if I only had coffee table books, that'd be quite boring, right? Or glass objects. So you want a variety in textures, materials, colors. So contrast is your most important thing. The next thing is it's all got to hang together. You've got all these contrasts, but they still all have to somehow work together. So you've got to think of those two things, contrast and making sure that there's some sort of cohesion, some unity. Okay, so let's get going. I always like to start with a tray because then I'm going to use this as a catch-all for all my little pieces. So again, as I said, contrast, this is a wooden tray on a glass table. If I had a wooden table, I'd probably have a different material. Maybe this on a wooden table, that would work quite well. The next thing is, by the way, this is in no order. I'm just doing them as I go along. I love flowers. Flowers always add a nice pop. Again, this is a glass vase, so I've got a bit of texture. Can you see? I put the texture here so that there's a bit of contrast and depth to the table. So something like that. Then I look for, this is like a beautiful piece. It's made out of recycled bottle tops. It's a snake. That says something about who I am, right? This is recycled, it's made here in Kenya, and it says something about me. I love art, I love recycled materials. So there you go. And then books. Books are such a wonderful way to say something about who you are. So think about what kind of books are going to tell people about who you are, what you're interested in. So coffee table books, I mean, that's the easiest way, I think, to say something about your personality, by the books you have on your coffee table. I mean, then you're showing people, you're not saying anything. So let's start off. So I put a book there, maybe, and Another one there. So I need something on top of it. Just add a little bit of interest. And then here, can you see? More books. You know, as you know, you may not know I'm a photographer. I love people. London is basically my second home. So, you know, I'm just saying something with the books. Then now, not next? More objects, because it's a little bit flat, right? So I'm just putting extra pieces just to add a little bit of more variety and depth. And a really important rule is always use odd numbers. They're much more dynamic than using even numbers. In decorating, we always use odd numbers. So think 3, 5, 7, 9, etc. So again, following that rule, odd numbers. Can you see how I'm layering? There's glass, there's a wooden tray, then these tea light holders, glass. Then I'm going to add hearts. This is another thing. If you've been following along, you know, love is one of the things that I am fascinated by, and I collect hearts all dotted around my apartment. So there you are, different hearts again. This is actually a cigar holder, but there are no cigars, so it's just going to be there. You see what the tray is doing? It's acting as a place. It contains the little pieces. Because if they were just scattered on the table, that look kind of untidy, it helps to neaten and, you know, give a much more cohesive look to what I'm doing. So the tray is so important. And then these are coasters, yeah, beaded coasters. Again, they're different texture, you know, and the different feel. They're pretty, they're Kenyan, handmade, and they help to bring the scheme together. Can you see what I'm talking about in terms of cohesion? The colors. Even this glass vase and this is all pulling the scheme together. And what not to put on your coffee table? Remote controls. I mean, it's a bit controversial, but personally, I kind of feel it kills the look. If you put a remote control, it just kind of takes away from what you've done here. So maybe you can look for a nice little box to put the remote controls in, or keep it side. I keep mine on the side. I just don't like to see them. They're quite ugly, so I don't like to see them on my table. So that's a no-no for me. But of course, everyone's different. You also have to find a sweet spot between having too much stuff on your table, so it looks cluttered and cramped. That's why it's great to have a tray to contain your smaller pieces. And then you don't want to have like a really sort of boring, sort of nothing on the table. So try and find that sweet spot. I'm always moving things around and, you know, playing around and seeing what works or what doesn't work. I had a different vase on here before, which I've moved away to the windowsill because it works so much better there. But at the end of the day, it's not an exact science. So have fun. Just have fun, play around. And this is such a great, accessible way of styling, especially if you're living in a rental apartment. As I said, it's all about variation, contrasts, but making sure it all hangs together. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you, so please do comment. And keep watching, subscribe, ping the notification bell so you don't miss out on future episodes. And I'll see you soon. Bye.